How would you describe in a word your work, what you do?
Well, what I do is subconscious mind triggering, just like fishing in muddy waters, right? You don't know what you're gonna get, right? And through the information, to the data after the triggering, right? I use that to access people's subconscious mind and get them to get off repeated patterns.
Can you describe? You usually do an interview and then you have technical session.
What I do is I do an interview with the client. I ask them key questions which are related to the pillars of their mental health, their minds, which is family, fears, phobias, dreams, ambitions, right? Hobbies. And I code the information into numbers and colors. I place the information in different parts of their brains, right side brain, left side brain, and center, with the purpose of stimulating balance. Mm-hmm. So they can have, the mind can experience balance, which is unusual to most of human beings, right? So when you create that feeling, the doors of the subconscious mind shall be open, because the subconscious mind don't trust intellectual property, but feeling. When you create that feeling where things are safe or safer, I'm able to access the subconscious mind, and I bring the individual into experience of watching their traumas from a neutral perspective, which will make them to see that as experience. As they see as experience, that is the ambition of doing better, and it's easy to let go, you know.
What do you think is the origin of most people's issues?
I think it's pretty much patterns. We all have patterns, and those patterns are rooted in the past. They're rooted in the way how we grow up, perceiving love and pain. That's what everybody wants the most, right? Love, that's what we want the most. We just so confusing the word love, right? Because it's some way how we are brainwashed to perceive love as what we see in a romantic Hollywood movie. And really has nothing to do with that, because love is action. So it's a decision to do something without expecting nothing back. Right, and we have the idea that love is this, it's what we see in a romantic Hollywood movie, right? Which is just, it's a very limited emotion.
So love is the unconditional wanting something better for people.
It comes from the word agape, right? The Latin word agape, right? So it's when it's just this unconditional desire to do something that benefits something or somebody, but not you. And it's just, it creates double satisfaction, right? The person receives, you receive.
But maybe,
right.
So on the other side, we have pain, right?
Right. Pain, it's not bad, right? Without pain, you don't understand boundaries. Without pain, you don't understand self-defense, right? Without pain, you don't understand self-worth, right? So I think humans, we both need to always accept love and pain on the same level. Let's say that 50% love, 50% pain, it's welcome, if you want to evolve. So people grow up, they go to challenges, and the self-defense mode is part of the human condition. So naturally, at the moment you feel threatened or hurt, right, your brain's gonna come out with any kind of self-defense mode. Fear, right? Fear of pain, right? It's in all of us animals, right? So the subconscious mind will record that. We recorded the data that threatens you the most, that makes you the most vulnerable. And it's going to create a pattern from that self-defense mode, right? That pattern will have a huge influence on how you perceive the world, the outside world, relationships, business offers, how you're gonna react with your unique ability, how you're going to interact with other humans, right? So that's why we're talking about subconscious mind, right? And we're talking about pain, and we're talking about fear, right? So it is necessary and to a level, when transpass this level, and it becomes a repeater pattern.
And then it starts to hurt your life, or it can get.
Yeah, it's. But what we basically, you're gonna some way how self-sabotage yourself, right? Because you're trying to protect yourself, right? So in other words, you're trying to protect yourself, but you actually over projecting that trauma into everything that's presented to you in the outside world, relationships, as I said, business opportunities, opportunities in general, right? Friendship, and
I think we all do it. As you know, I had a girlfriend who self-sabotaged a lot, and then I've done it. Everyone does it.
Yeah.
And you end up just destroying your life if it gets out of hand, right?
Yeah, we all do that. It's absolutely, but the most important thing is to some way how find a way through your routine to reflect on that daily and to observe yourself, right? To create this kind of exercise stage. It's almost like you're watching a movie of your life, like you're watching how you're behaving through challenges from a neutral perspective, right? You can practice this visualization where, you just see yourself sitting on the theater and just watching how you talk to that girl, how you react when your father was, challenging you about something, right? So by doing that, it's easy to let go and to take less personal. And then you start seeing as an opportunity to do it better. When you get challenged next, to do it better. So you perceive as experience.
So I guess usually we're always sitting inside ourselves in this emotional place where we're not seeing ourselves.
Well, everything we take in personal, right? It's everything. It's because he don't like me. It's because this is against me. This person's just like, humiliating me, or just like, think that I'm stupid, right? This person think I'm an idiot. You understand? So it's just constant. He thinks he's stronger than me, or she thinks I'm a faggot, or it's just like this whole, bullshit that we get caught up, right? Caught up. And then you find yourself in this loop, right? This prison where you constantly self-sabotage yourself because you're always trying to second guess what people are perceiving from you. But the truth, you're just terrified, right? To some way how to put it down your guard.
Your guard.
Yeah, your guard, and just to connect with another human being, right? Yeah. And the media nowadays it just make it worse, right?
The phones and
yeah, just the phone, just this agenda of division, right? It's right against left, black against white, right? It's just constantly this frequency of separation and division, and just to make it worse, because then, everything's our enemy, right? So humans have this, it's part of the human condition, but also that has to do with tradition and culture, right? This brainwashing, where it's always, we need to blame always on the devil, right? It's the devil, it's the demons. It's like you're masturbating 8 times a day because the demons, it's an entity. You understand? But then you don't want to go back and say, well, when did you first start watching porn, right? How did your parents, present the sex to you? What was going on with you and your cousins? So people don't want to go back and to reflect on, the fact that the brain was developing, right? I believe that the brain of a little girl, develops between the age of 7 and 12, and boys 7 and 14, 7 and 14. So girls develops faster. Right? So what happened in between that age? What was going on there, right? So so we just have this natural tendency to be very trusting on the aliens and the demons, and the government, the Illuminati, it's the creatures of the 7th dimension, the ayahuasca spirits, but we get bored. And we have this tendency to reject basics of emotional intelligence, which it's 2 + 2 = 4. right? Have this tendency to want to jump straight into quantum physics, but you don't know yet how to do 2 + 2 = 4. You don't understand that yet, the basics. We have this tendency that we are waiting for a savior, right? It's some way how, I don't want it to say that it's part of the human condition. I just think it's being printed in the human condition to religion, you know.
To look for an external.
Right, to look for the savior. Yeah. Right, but we need to understand that I am my own savior. You are your own savior. There's nobody's coming to save you. There's no Moshiach, no Jesus Christ. There is no alien comes to save you. You are the savior of your life. And the way how you start doing that is to start focusing on the patterns that are stopping you from evolve as a better human being. You know, at the moment you do that and you're able to overcome that, you start saving yourself. And by saving yourself, right, your brain is gonna vibrate at different frequencies. And by doing that, you're gonna, like a magnet, you're gonna attract different people with different levels of consciousness, right? You're just gonna attract people with less problems, less patterns. You understand? And you're gonna start realizing that some way how you are now creating a different reality. When before you're repeating, why I always attract, neurotic people around me? Why I always attract people that struggle with paranoia? Well, because you're fucking paranoid, you're just constantly creating that, and over projecting that into people's.
Let's bring up another analogy. Like I think probably 20 different people have told me, oh well, that's this technique of the monkey brain or the reptile brain or the this quick pop book, psychology book, quick fix kind of like oversimplistic thing.
Let's be honest, conventional psychology isn't working. That's why the whole Joe Rogan religion of ayahuasca, MDMA, acid, microdose of acid, and all those things are very attractive to people because they're just bored with conventional psychology, right? So you will never be able to shift a pattern by understanding the pattern intellectually only. It's important to understand intellectually, but you need to find a way to trigger your subconscious mind, right? So you can create a bridge between unconscious and conscious. So that doing that, you will have agreement. When you have agreement between unconscious and conscious, it's easy to let go, right? So this whole reptilian, brain, and yesterday that guy was just trying to convince me about this chimpanzee, brain, protocol, right? That we should be constantly fighting daily, and I thought was just extremely confusing.
Just to clarify, we have cycles that we get from childhood, mommy, daddy, the environment we grew up in, and then these can create these sort of complexes or ways of looking at things and create these patterns of cycles of behavior that can make us unhappy, right. and then we kind of subconsciously live still stuck in these emotional states that we got in childhood, and your work is helping people have an external reflection on that?
Yeah, my work is to help people to get off repeated patterns, and the way how I do that is triggering the subconscious mind in a way that the subconscious mind is gonna put it down the guard, right? So it's, in other words, I'm helping individuals to put their self-defense modes down, so I can get access into the subconscious mind, get them to have a neutral perspective from their problems. And by doing that, they will naturally, through a feeling, remember, subconscious mind will never open the door to intellectual property only. Subconscious mind trusts feelings. So through a feeling, I get the guard down, I get access into the subconscious mind, get them to see the trauma as experience only. And by doing that in a genuine way, through a feeling, right, I'm able to help them to let go of the root of the pattern, and then getting them to heal by addictions, right, repeated patterns, right? So yeah. That's pretty much what I do.
Great.
Yeah.
And then what, can you describe the techniques you use or how that works a little bit?
Right. It's very interesting because I have worked with so many people, and when I see them trying to explain my work to other human beings, what I do, I always laugh my ass off because it's difficult to explain unless you do it, right? But basically what I do is I do an interview with the individual and I ask them key questions that are related to the pillars of their mind: subconscious mind, family, high school experiences, traumas, phobias, relationships, dreams, right? And I code the information, I code into numbers and colors, and I place that information in different parts of the brain: right side brain, left side brain, center, right? And I do this organic programming. You know, I don't want to review everything here because it's my intellectual property, right? But that's pretty much what I do. And I do that using overventilation. I do that with, you know, specific visualizations, and which, you know, get them into this almost like they almost feel like a high, right? That there's a rhythm. There is a rhythm. Yeah, from the combination of compressing emotions, visualizations, right? Concentration, right? And there is a rhythm, there is a programming, right? Organic programming. And by doing that, they get into this flow. It's almost like a high, and the conscious mind start losing, you know, power, right? And then that's when I get into the subconscious mind, which is controlling what is everything from behind the scenes.
Huh. So how much of people's lives do you think are controlled by the subconscious mind?
Oh my God.
Impulsive behaviors.
I mean, based on my 15 years experience, I think a lot. I think I don't know if I want to put that in a percentage, description, but I would say at least 90%, or more.
Of people's behavior is governed.
Yeah, because individuals believe that the conscious mind is what is controlling. It's the pilot, right? It's what is controlling their lives, but it's indeed the subconscious mind. That's why government, that's why media, marketing, study basics on subconscious mind psychology, because that's how they get people, to just follow their agenda or their flow.
Just through subliminally.
Yeah, government invests, I don't know if probably billions of dollars or more, through the years, and psychology studies using psychedelics, various techniques, colors, triggering to television since the 50s. It's humans are very easy to control, in my opinion. Very easy, very easy. As I always say, majority of followers, right? Minority or leaders. Yeah.
Okay. What else would you like to touch on?
Well, I just think that people have to be very careful with this division agenda that is happening nowadays, which is clearly, to me, subliminal controlling. And I think before blaming on anything else, even though we know that the government is corrupt, I think it's people have to understand it's more important for you to overcome your destructive patterns than to worry about government and conspiracies. Because the only way to defeat government and its conspiracies is through defeating your limitations. By doing that first, you'll be stronger. And by being stronger, you'll be able to influence others in a way that is productive and healthy. Anybody that is familiar with martial arts or fitness in general understand that it's going to be a routine that's going to give you results, right? And mental health is the same way. The idea that you're going to do an ayahuasca trip and you're going to have, a supernatural encounter and that will fix you from a pattern, I never see, it doesn't exist. You might think that affects you because of the amount of clarity that you might have an experience like that. But long term, you will find yourself going back to the same pattern, and you're gonna keep it trying all those religions and philosophies, and you're gonna keep it, crashing to the same situation, right?
What about hypnosis?
Right. I don't want to offend people, but I'm not a fan of hypnosis because I think free will is very important, right? And what I do has nothing to do with hypnosis. So I think you need to find a way to defeat your own demons. And when I'm talking about demons, I'm not talking about the religious demons. I'm talking about your worst fears and patterns. And has to come from a place of decision and routine, right? And genuine desire to become your best version, independent of your culture, tradition, and your political views.
And then, so you take clients who are kind of want to change.
Well, I mean, I get people, the thing is, I get people, of course, people come to me, they want to change. But there is also the human condition idea that if I at least try to prove to myself that I'm trying to do something to be better, right, I'm okay. Right? So a lot of times humans, they would get themselves in a rehab or on a process, on a healing process. But they are doing that just so they can have their story, right, the excuse that they're trying.
To themselves.
Exactly, right? So it's not enough, right? You have to really be, I mean, if you want to change, it's a war. You got to be able to get into this war, which is you against yourself.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to be a quick fix, and you have to be genuine about the desire to change. Right, that's why so many rehabs, they make so much money. People are constantly coming back to the same rehabs.
Or gyms that have a lot of customers that don't show up very much. Or they're,
Exactly.
Or they're on the phone half the
Well,
time.
it's like the guy on the phone at the gym, right? You know, it's like, what are you trying to achieve, right?
And then they say, oh, I can't get any success.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the gym, you know, and then you look at the guy 2 years, their body looks the same. There's no changes. There's no change, you know.
Yeah, we worked out for 1 week, and I'm getting ripped here. So
Yeah, you've been changing already just by having a routine. You know it's not easy. When we at the gym, I get you to, fight like you're in a war, right? And it's the same with your mind. It's the same with your relationships, right?
Well, not fighting like a war, right?
Well, I mean, obviously, you want to fight people, but you got to fight yourself so you can be better to people's, right?
So people experience these painful things in childhood, and they develop these defense mechanisms on how to cope with things.
Yeah, can we use an example that we're both familiar? Maybe we can use this. Okay, so let's say, in America, let's talk about America. So the land of opportunity and ambition, right? So the parents are pretty busy trying to get the dollar, right? The kid is alone at home. The kid was raised by nannies. They're immigrants, okay? Now, that kid brain somehow has a tendency to trust immigrant woman more than somebody else because somehow that his brain perceived the love and care by immigrant woman. So it's printed in the subconscious mind of that kid. So that kid now, the kid now is growing up with this idea. It's almost like a fetish with an international woman, especially from poor places like Latin America, right? The mother felt to provide that love, that the mother love, by being busy working, right? So now, so that kid now somehow it's into international ladies. Now, the father was also busy working. Okay, and let's say that when the father was back home, he was trying to give the kid the sense that he was there to protect him. But the mother, somehow, his mother is this feminist, liberal woman that don't allow the father to teach the kid boundaries. Now, what happens is every time that the kid is subjecting to let's say a job interview, or that kid needs to submit himself into a situation where he needs to submit himself or to work for somebody else, right? That kid will see the man in the room as a threat. And it's gonna see the man as lower and less experienced than him. Because the mother was prohibiting the father to be a man, to be the father in the house. Right? So now you have a kid that has fetish with poor countries, international woman, and very rebellious to authorities. Not understanding that it's very important for us to submit ourselves to older people that are in better position than us so we can learn. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong. Even if that person is less wiser than you when it comes to government knowledge or whatever.
You think this is a common scenario?
It's a common scenario, especially nowadays. You know, I see a lot, yeah. And what happened is now that kid, which is now an adult, right, he struggles with self-awareness and awareness of others because he was raised in this bubble where every time that he needed something, the mother gave money because she was carrying guilt by being busy working and developing her career. So every time that kid moans or needs something, feel any pain, cash, money. Right? So that human being grew up without the natural hunter, right? The natural hunter, instinct that we all men should have. And that his brain just believes that when he wants something, has to be when he wants, the time he wants, and if it doesn't happen, he's crying for mommy.
So the feminism and then the lack of masculinity.
Yeah, it's just like the greedy, the hustle for the money. Just this whole idea that, it's the land of opportunity and the much money you get, the stronger you are, and that's America. It's a fucking joke. It's not balanced. It's not balanced. And then if I say that, people's going to say, oh, so you're a communist? Because like I say, because majority of humans are followers. They have, the brain rejects anything that relates to balance. Has always to be right or left,
Okay. So you think one of the goals is to be balanced?
The balance is everything. It should be the number one teaching in any philosophy, religion, school, any craft, balance. Because when you look at nature, you see balance. Nature will always reject the extreme. If you watch carefully, you will see that nature naturally loves balance.
Where can people find your work?
The only thing that I have available is a testimonial page on Facebook, and the name is Holistic Brain Technique. And you can shoot me a message through there. As you know, most of my clients are word of mouth.
What kind of clients have you had?
When I started, I was mainly focusing on heroin addiction, drug addiction, and PTSD, and by understanding that the main cause of addictions is mental illness, emotional problems, I expanded my business, through the average human being that might not be struggling with heroin addiction, but he can be in a relationship, or, he can accomplish certain things that we all should, right? So I have all kinds of clients, but right now, for some reason, I'm working with a lot of leaders, a lot of CFOs, and, a lot of business, people. But I have passion for all kinds of human beings, and I have experience with all areas and different cultures and traditions.
I know you've helped a lot of people, and I'd like to thank you for your work.
Okay, I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, thank you,
Jason.
James. Thank you. I appreciate it.